Hi knitters, welcome to episode 60 of the Knitty McPurly podcast. My name is Devin Ventry and you can find me online as Knitty McPurly at knittymcpurly.com and on Instagram. And if you want to email me, I'm Devin at knittymcpurly.com. Are you slightly distracted by my amazing pom-pom? This pom-pom is so fabulous. Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. First up, we had a giveaway last time. Last time we talked about the Knit, Pray, Share book by Lisa Hennessy and some yarn by Knitty McPurly. This is the Dubrovnik DK, and this colorway is called Contemplative. And the winner is Amy J. Congratulations, Amy. Thank you so much. I put the numbers into a random number generator and Amy's was number 58. And so she is my winner. Amy, get in touch with me. You can send me an email or you can get in touch with me on Instagram. And I would love to mail this prize to you. So thank you so much to everyone who left a comment. There were so many comments. It was so nice. Usually around the middle of the week, I go through and kind of respond as much as I can. But then it always seems like there's some that I didn't get a chance to respond to. But please know that even if I didn't respond, I read every single comment and I enjoyed them all and they probably all made me smile. So thank you so much for leaving me comments and congratulations, Amy. Okay, progress and shop news. You guys, this is a big category. I have a lot of stuff to talk about this time. The first thing I want to talk about, right before I started filming the podcast, I got a call from one of the many places that I have put my feelers out to for our retreat. One thing, I don't want to say too much because I have a couple places that I'm looking at. I don't have any quotes yet. I'm waiting to hear back from all these places. A lot of people I've talked to, people who work in hospitality are super nice. I guess that's to be expected. That's kind of their job. But it's been really, really fun trying to shop for a retreat place. And I've said to all of them, I'm like, this is our first time, but this could become an annual retreat. So if we love it, we will hopefully come back every year. That would be awesome. One thing I did want to tell you is I was originally thinking fall of 2022, but remember that we are knitters. We have an indoor craft. So why would we want to go someplace during the peak time when everybody wants to be there and paying the top dollar? So I thought, what about January through March of 2023? So just over 1 year from now. The rates are a lot lower. That's off peak time. And I think that we can get the most bang for our buck that way. So that's what I'm thinking about. I will keep you informed as I have more information. One thing, sometimes when I wear a sweater, I don't tell you what I'm wearing, and then I get comments like, oh, what was that sweater? I want to hear about it. I was trying to find a sweater that I hadn't worn in a while on the podcast. I don't know if I've ever worn this on the podcast, but this is one version of my Benedicta sweater. I'll put up the picture here of the purple one that was my original one. And then this was when I was going through that phase of every time I design a sweater, I have to make like 5 of them. Well, for this one, I made 2. But I just love these colors together. This kind of rose gold and this kind of deep dark yellow. I love it. Ooh. Just show you the part of my arm that has the sweater on it. I just learned that Dolly Parton like covers her arms and her hands all the time. I'm like, wow, like that's hardcore. What if it's hot outside? I don't know. That's an aside. I've been looking for things in Tennessee, got off on a Dolly Parton tangent, went off down that rabbit hole. Oh gosh. Okay. So the holiday market happened. That was super fun. Some of you came to see me. Oh my gosh, it was so great. Part of me wanted to be like, just sit down and let's hang out. We don't need to worry about the market. Let's just hang out together and we'll talk about knitting and we'll drink some coffee and we'll sit around all this beautiful yarn and it's going to be great. It was so nice to see those of you who came to see me. That just filled me with joy. And some of my regular non-knitting friends came to see me. My one friend is halfway across the market and she screams, "Oh my gosh, it's Knitty McPurly in real life." Which made me laugh because I only know her in real life. Oh, it was so funny. I had such a good time. It was really fun talking to people. I met some new people who just happened to be passing through the market. We're like, ooh, yarn. You know, my mother-in-law knits or my sister knits, and these are the kind of things she likes to knit. What do you think that she might like? And that was really fun. I really enjoyed it. It was the weekend that the middle of the country, I call it the middle, even though it's not really the middle because I live on the east. So, you know, Kentucky and Ohio and Tennessee, not Tennessee, but Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana, that all feels like the middle of the country. It was when they had all those hurricanes. What we got here was just strong wind. Like nothing was damaged. I mean, except for some people's, pop-up tents. And my necklaces were casualties because they just got tangled. And it wasn't the necklaces that got tangled, it was the tags. The tags were just whipping around and getting all tangled together. But it was fun. I had a really good time. So I personally feel like my personal aesthetic, like it's kind of modern. It's kind of, what's going on now, what people are into. It's kind of like this. So I had my whole booth set up with kind of that aesthetic, kind of minimalist, but pretty and hexagonal, lots of colored yarn. And it was just, I thought, very pretty. There were lots of really pretty booths. I had two neighbors on either side. So the one on the neighbors to my right was this older couple, and they were delightful. I mean, just so sweet. They helped us set up our tent because we had never done it before. And yeah, they were just really, really great. The woman made these glass turtles, okay? Some of them were it was like a dish where the bottom of the turtle was the dish and then you could take the shell off to put whatever you wanted in there. Others were just these cute little glass turtles. Some of them had birthstones on them. And this is the reaction that I saw all day to my booth and her booth. "Oh, yarn. That's pretty. Wonder what I would do with that." Turtles! There are turtles! And I went over to her and I was like, "Did you put crack in those turtles? Like, what's the deal?" And she goes, "People love turtles." She goes, "There are turtle people who follow me around and just, like my friend who screamed across the thing, she did that. She's like, 'Hey, Devin, so good to see you.'" "Oh, turtles." Like, it was like the greatest thing anyone has ever seen in their lives, ever, 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 ever before, were these glass turtles. So she had a great day. It was hilarious for me and Gigi because we were just like, I like the turtles. It's not my style. It's not my aesthetic. These people who were selling them were just pure, sweet loveliness embodied. And I thought the turtles were very sweet. But I did not have that reaction to them. And so it was just so funny to me to watch these people dart from across the market when they saw these glass turtles and just, pour out their wallets and be like, "I need a turtle for everyone I know." So apparently, yarn does not have the same kind of appeal to the mass population that turtles have. Turtles are better than yarn. That's the name of the podcast. Turtles are better than yarn, which we all know is not true. Unless you're a turtle person and then maybe you're torn. I don't know. And on my other side, to my left, was a lovely lady who was selling body butter. Now, body butter people are like, there's a lot of them, and you're always going to find them at farmers markets. I'm not a real body butter person, but I think I've converted, and here's why. I was interested in her. I liked her as a person. I thought she was really sweet. I enjoyed talking to her. I helped her set up her tent. But I didn't try the body butter. And then Gigi, being the sweet person that she is, went over. She had brought some of her own money, and so she bought some. So Gigi brings it back, and she's like, Mom, try this. So I put it on my hands, and I was like, oh, that's amazing. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, this is Knitter's hand balm. That's what this is. So lo and behold, Mary Louise Lux Beauty, that's her name, and she's on Instagram as Mary Louise Lux Beauty. She and I are going into business together. I will have, around February, there will be Knitter's hand balm in my shop in little cute Knitty McPurly tins. I'm so excited because I've really wanted hand balm for a long time. And here, this beautiful, amazing hand balm was delivered right into my lap at the holiday market. So that's the story. It was super fun. I really enjoyed it. It ended up closing early. It ran from 10 to like 1:30. It was supposed to end at 3, but the wind was too strong. People were losing their tents, and yeah, things were blowing all over the place. And it was the gusts, you know, it was like a steady wind, but when those gusts kicked up, we just ran for the poles and held on. But it was fun. It was a good time. Okay, so on to this is my everywhere hat. I say this every time because I get new people. This hat pattern is free on my website. It is forever free. You can go download this for free. Comes in 3 sizes, I think it's 3 sizes. Chemo brain, it's real. And this is a new premium pom-pom. I feel like it's like I'm wearing one of those hats with the fruit on it, you know, like this is like a big pineapple. So this is the size of my normal pom-pom. Okay, these are the ones that I've had in my shop. And it's hard, like this is me holding it like a baseball, okay? It's about baseball size. This is the normal one. This one is called Gray Fox, okay? And this is fabulous. It's got almost like a little stripe in it. And this is about 5 inches in diameter pom-pom. So they dug my package out of the swamp. No, it actually went to my neighbor, and I've been guilty of doing this before too. She was getting her packages and just stacking them, figuring I don't have time to get to this, I'll get to it later. And so when my package said it was delivered, it was actually delivered to her house. And I didn't even think to ask my neighbors because I thought I'm close with all of my neighbors. If any of them got one of my packages, they'd bring it right over. So I didn't ask. So then she messages me a couple days ago and was like, I got one of your packages. I was like, awesome. Bet it has faux fur in it. And it did. I mean, really, really amazing faux fur. I would take my hat off, but my hair it's really not good today. But this one is called Timberwolf, and this one is bigger. I wanted to put it on a hat, especially so you could see the size on a hat. That's my still picture right there. So this one's called Timberwolf, and these are bigger. They're about 7 inches in diameter, and they're just a little bit more expensive. The smaller one is $5, and the bigger one is $7. And this one, and you can see this one's more like a softball size. I haven't played either of these sports in a while, so I'm guessing. I don't really remember. But this one is called Honey Mink. It's so pretty. I love it. Just give them a fluff. My whole house is full of fur. My husband's like, no more making pom-poms in the living room because it gets everywhere. So anyway, these are available in my shop, and there is a sale. It ends tomorrow, Friday. I don't know what the date is today. I'll put it on the screen because I don't know what the date is, but it ends tomorrow, Friday at noon, because I think that if it goes out before then, you have a really good chance of getting it by Christmas. So I can't guarantee it, because the Postal Service, nobody ever knows. But I hope, I'm praying that everything I send out by tomorrow at noon will get to you by Christmas. So use that code for 20% off. The code is Yuletide. Yuletide, Yuletide. Use this code for 20% off everything in the shop until tomorrow at noon, Friday. So if you're watching this right away, that is the sale. Also, I am donating. This was my husband's idea. I give a portion of my sales every month to a local food bank, the Blue Ridge Area Food Bank, which is in Verona, Virginia, which is like further down into the middle of Virginia. Virginia is probably like a lot of other states where there's Northern Virginia, which is like a DC suburb that's very city-like, and then there's the rest of the state that's a lot more country. And in those parts, you just have a lot more people who, especially after the pandemic, have been hit really hard. So every month I give to them, and I'm a part of their supper club, and that just is deducted every month. But in December, I'm giving 10% of my profits to the food bank. So you can purchase from me knowing whether it's patterns or shippable goods, knowing that 10% of that of the profits, 10% of the profits will go to the food bank. So I'm really happy to be doing that this month. Okay, so the holiday market happened this weekend. Another really fun thing that happened was the Politically Incorrect Knitters interview came out. So we did this interview, I can't remember when, it was at least 6 weeks ago. And the reason I did the interview, like, my husband's always telling me not to get involved. Like, he's like, just stay out of it, just be knitting. And he doesn't understand that that doesn't work. You can't do that. Christy Glass tried to do that, and they came for her. I love you, Christy. I hope you're doing okay. You can't be neutral. And when the Deplorable Knitter and Ann Pinkava, who host the Politically Incorrect Knitters, asked me, I was like, there is no way I would say no. Like, there are these wonderful, lovely, delightful people who've asked me to be on their podcast. Of course I'll be on it. Like, I didn't think about what would happen next. Didn't think about that. I just kind of was like, well, I wanted to do the right thing. I wanted to do the kind thing. And so I was like, yes, I will do it. And it was great. We had such fun. I really, really enjoy those ladies. They're very nice, genuine, kind, good people. And I really enjoyed sitting down with them. If you haven't had a chance to take a look at that interview, the podcast is called Politically Incorrect Knitters. And I tell my canceling story in a bit more detail than I've ever told it anywhere else. I talk about cancer, all that stuff. So if you have any interest in that, go check that out. So after it came out, I kind of thought, nobody's going to see this interview anyway. Like, you know, they have a small group of people that watch their podcast, and probably they're the same people who watch my podcast. And so, you know, I just didn't really think much of it. So around the same time that my interview came out, they did a couple commentary videos on what was going on with Christy. And that garnered them attention nationally. So the Daily Beast wrote an article about what happened with Christy, talked about Michelle Obama knitting, and it talked about the Politically Incorrect Knitters podcast, which led people to realize that mine was the most recent episode. But, you know, when that happened, I kind of was like, well, maybe I ought to prepare myself for a beating in case I take one. But I really didn't. I mean, there was a very slight kerfluffle with people who I'm not interested in. But what did happen was people came out of the woodwork to support me and say, thank you for standing up for Christy. Thank you for being a kind person and trying to find the good in the situation. And that was like, it was like in The Grinch where his heart just grew and grew and broke the box. It was like that. So it was entirely positive. The whole thing was entirely positive. It made me think about Michelle Obama, frankly. Like I really was thinking about writing her an open letter and just being like, Michelle, we are so happy that you're a knitter. Like all of us, every single knitter is happy that you are a knitter too, because we want the whole world to knit. We want everyone to knit. We don't care what your political views are. We want everyone to knit. And I thought, You know, part of the thing about the Vogue knitting thing is that she didn't show any knitting. And I guess no one has really seen any of her knitting. Like, I have not researched this, but the word on the street is that there's not a lot of Michelle's knitting out there. Michelle, let me tell you how this works. We make stuff and then we share it, and we talk about the dyer who dyed the yarn and the person who wrote the pattern. And I can say, as someone who both dyes yarn and makes patterns, I would be beside myself with joy, over the moon happy, if you chose my yarn or my pattern to make and post pictures of, or, oh my gosh, wear. Are you kidding me? We all would, all of us. I think I can speak for every single yarn dyer and every single knitting designer. We would all be beside ourselves with joy if you chose our pattern or our yarn. I'll give it to you for free. I bet most people would. Like, do it, Michelle. Pick something that you like, pick something that inspires you, make it, wear it around, tell everybody about it, and that designer will shoot to the top. Doesn't have to be me, pick anybody. There's a million. But anyway, share, Michelle. We want to see your knitting. We're so happy you're here. Okay. Let's see. Okay, last thing in the progress and shop news. I have been thinking, you guys have loved my advent calendar so much, and it is so fun for me to watch your progress. Most of you, in a totally normal human way, have fallen behind. I haven't even been able to keep up in posting pictures. I knit mine back in the summertime, but I haven't even been able to keep up posting pictures. But 231 Baker Street on Instagram, she is the queen of pictures. She is on top of it. So if you want to see the progression, go check her out, because she has got it. And it's just so heartwarming to me to see it being knit up, because I'm so proud of this advent calendar. I love it so much. It fills me with joy. But anyway, what I wanted to say was, many of my watchers are Christians like I am, and celebrate's the wrong word, acknowledge or participate in Lent. And I was wondering if you would be interested in a 40-day Lent calendar. I'm envisioning all 10-gram minis, 40 10-gram minis, probably same-ish price point as my advent calendar, in the $125 range-ish. I'd have to figure it out and do the math, but somewhere in there. Starting on Ash Wednesday, ending on Easter Sunday, utilizing the colors of Lent, which are traditionally pink and purple and white, but with some other colors in there for important feast days, like St. Patrick's Day is usually during Lent. I'm a Catholic, so we acknowledge St. Joseph's Day, which is 2 days after St. Patrick's Day on March 19th. What do you think? Is this a crazy dumb idea, or is this an amazing idea and you want in? Leave me a comment. Tell me. If I get enough interest, I will absolutely do it in the new year. I will open up pre-orders. I haven't even checked when Ash Wednesday is this year, but it's usually in late February, early March. And yeah, so let me know. Let me know what you think. I think it's a great idea. And it would be similar to the Advent calendar with a mystery knit along. Also, I was thinking of including like a prayer or a sacrifice with each day. I think that sounds awesome. So if you're interested, let me know about that. Okay, next segment is going to be the word of the week. I'm working not in my typical order today, and I have a reason. Because, well, first of all, so many of you told me last week that the word Montana means mountain. So I was rightly humbled, especially somebody who loves words. Like, I love words. I don't know why I didn't know or even like deduce that the word Montana means mountain. Montana officially has mountains, in case you were wondering. And in case you didn't know, Montana means mountain. But that is not our word of the week. Our word of the week is Fair Isle. And this was suggested to me by a podcast watcher. I guess this person was interested, and this led, starting with this word, it led me down a rabbit hole, which leads into my topic of the week and my knitting fantasies. So we're going to be talking Fair Isle today. Comes from the Scottish Gaelic fara, F-A-R-A, Also an Old Norse word, which I cannot pronounce. I can't even put it on the screen because it has letters in it that I don't know. But it's like, I think it's that. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And it means a calm, peaceful isle or island of tranquility. So basically, Fair Isle comes from Scotland, meaning fair island or far off island or sheep island. And Fara is an island off the coast of Scotland in Shetland, which is this group of islands, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. They do Shetland Wool Week and they're big into knitting up there. That's my entire knowledge of it. If you want more information, look up Fruity Knitting. She does all the Shetland stuff. The Fara, this particular island from which this technique comes, is the most remote inhabited island in the UK. It has been occupied since Neolithic times, which is remarkable because they don't have a lot of raw materials there, but presumably they do have sheep and there is great fishing. It is an island. That makes sense. In knitting, Fair Isle just pretty much means stranded knitting. So typically, now Fair Isle is kind of a specific type of stranded knitting, but in general, those two terms are interchangeable. And it gained popularity when the Prince of Wales, Edward VIII, I'll put a picture of him up here, wore Fair Isle sweaters. And this was around 1921. And so this dude wearing these sweaters just made everybody think that they really needed a Fair Isle sweater. And that is how it gained in popularity, which leads me into this week's topic, which is Fair Isle and traditions in Fair Isle. Traditionally, Fair Isle uses a limited palette, such as in the Benedicta, which only uses 2 colors. It's usually 5 colors or less, with only 2 colors per row. Also, for kind of obvious reasons, the runs aren't very long. You're not going to have a really long run of, 20 stitches in one color and then 1 stitch in another color, because your floats end up being too long and it can get too tight. If you are familiar with stranded knitting or you've done it before, I'm sure you understand that. Like, it's just easier when the runs are short, meaning you don't have more than 3 or 4 or 5 stitches of one color before you go on to the next color. If you do have a longer run, then the best thing to do is to kind of catch the floats, and that's easy to do. You can look that up on YouTube if you're interested in learning how to do that, whether you are a continental or an English knitter. And but yeah, so typically in Fair Isle, it does not have longer runs. It is traditionally worked in the round, and it uses only the basic knit stitch. So now the Benedicta does have bobbles, which I guess would put it outside the realm of traditional Fair Isle. And this led me to steeking, which is going to be next week's topic. Next week, we're going to talk about steeking, which is basically where you knit something in the round and then whoop, I make it sound so dramatic, where you just cut it, but it's not really. You have to secure the stitches and all that. Now, I've never actually done that. Wouldn't it be fun if I stuck something next week, if I steeked it? A steeking virgin. Wow. That could be really exciting if I could steek something on camera. Maybe I will. We'll see. Okay. So that brings me to knitting fantasies. And this week I plugged in Fair Isle into my Etsy search, and it brought up a lot of patterns, a lot of PDF patterns, a lot of vintage patterns. Some of those seem to be available in PDF. I don't exactly get that. I don't really know how you can have something in PDF if you didn't write it, but I don't know. And I have 3 picks for you. I have 1 sweater and 2 pairs of mitts. The first one is by Alice in Knitting Land, and this is the Vintage Chic Round Yoke Fair Isle. It is a PDF download. It is vintage inspired, knit in 4 colors with super chunky yarn. Now, it's super cute. I really like the colors that she used. I love that it's very chunky. However, it only comes in 2 sizes. Now, she's only charging $2 for this pattern. One was for a 39-inch bust, and I don't quite remember the other one, but it was like 48-inch. So this would be kind of like a medium and a large, I think. I'm not sure how much ease is built into it, but there are pictures of the designer wearing it, and it looks like there's a good amount of ease in it. So that's my first pick. my second and my third pick are both mitts, and they both come from the Ways of Woodfolk. The first one is the Woodland Lopi mitts, and they come in 3 sizes, small, medium, and large. It uses Ledi Lopi, which is traditional Icelandic wool, and it is in an Aran weight. And I just thought these were so cute. Like, I just really like these. All of these are Fair Isle. They are all stranded knitting. But I just thought these mitts were so cute, and I love Ledi Lopi. My next door neighbor went to Iceland. She and her husband got a Groupon, and they went to Iceland a couple years ago. And she's like, "Do you want me to bring you some yarn?" And I was like, "Yes." And retrospectively, I thought I should have asked for that unspun yarn. If anybody goes to Iceland, I want the unspun yarn. I'll pay for it, just the unspun. You know, where it comes like in a big wheel? That's really cool. But she brought me back a bunch of Ledi Lopi. It's all in one color. She got me like a light gray, because I'm a huge gray fan. But I feel like it needs to be mittens or slippers or something kind of hard wearing. It's not super soft, but it does feel like it could withstand some cold weather. So anyway, my third pick, also by Ways of Woodfolk. These are fingerless mitts, also knit in Aran weight yarn, and these come in 2 sizes. Both pairs of these mittens and fingerless mitts are $3.50, which I think is a great price for a pattern. One thing, am I gonna talk about it? I don't know, I don't remember. But anyway, one of the great things that happened as a result of my Politically Incorrect Knitters interview is I got to meet, you know, on Instagram and in messages, the You Knitted Kingdom. This guy, I love this guy. He's awesome. He's on Instagram. It's You Knitted Kingdom, as in United Kingdom with knitting. Where was I going with that? Patterns, sizes. No, it's gone. Anyway, I got to meet this guy, and he is just so great. Go follow him on Instagram. He also had an interview with the Politically Incorrect Knitters, and that was great. I really enjoyed watching that. Anyway, so here's what happened. This is the part of the podcast where I tell a knitting story, or even better, you tell a knitting story. If you have a knitting story that is interesting, heartwarming, funny, delightful, sweet, anything interesting that you would like to share in the podcast, if you could make a little 5 to 10 minute video or audio, if you prefer, and send it in to me, email it to me, devin@knittymcpurly.com. I would love to have it on the podcast. We've had some really great knitting stories on the podcast, and it's just so much fun. But nobody sent me one this week, so I thought I would tell you a little story about my MRI that I had this week. It's not a knitting story, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. So I've had an MRI before. Have you had an MRI? Like, I feel like there are 2 camps on the MRI. Either one, it's terrifying and you're about to have a panic attack, or what are you complaining about? This is nothing. So I kind of went into it blind. Like, I've had one before, but I don't remember being in the tube. I don't remember the noise. I don't remember it. And the tech who I had was just kind of like, "Hi, okay, you know, here's your hospital gown. Get in the tube. Here's some earplugs. Put the earplugs in. It's noisy." I wore my rings in. Like, these are not my real wedding rings. Ever since I got cancer, I had lymphedema in my arm, and I can't wear my regular wedding rings now. So these are some really pretty cheap ones that I got from CVS, but super fancy, right? I had these on when I went in there because I don't know. I don't know what happened there. Luckily, nothing bad happened, but I go in the tube and I'm like, I just kept thinking, buried alive, like you're buried alive. And then the noise started and I thought, what's this take, 5 minutes? No, it takes 30 minutes. And the whole time I'm just kind of just talking myself down, like, it's okay, it's fine. You could squeeze, they give you a little thing to squeeze. I'm like, you could squeeze the thing at any time and you could get out and it would be fine. But you're just gonna stay calm and it's all gonna be fine. If you have to get an MRI, you should know it's crazy loud. It sounds like there are several different hysterically loud alarms going off right in your ear, even with earplugs in. And it goes on for about 30 minutes. And you might feel like you're buried alive. So go in with that mentality. And then if it's not as bad, you'll be like, Devin made a big deal out of nothing. So I come out of the MRI, I go out of the tube, and I sit up and I said, wow, that was really something. And she goes, what do you mean? I said, well, you know, it was just so loud and it was so tight and I just didn't know how long it would go on. And she goes, well, it didn't hurt. And I was like, you're right. It didn't hurt. I thought I might have a panic attack, but it did not hurt. Silver lining. Anyway, leave me a comment. Tell me what you think about the Lent calendar idea. There will be kid yarn coming in the new year also. And thank you so much for joining me. This was so fun. And send me a knitting story, because I would love to hear your knitting story and put it on next week's podcast. Okay, thanks, knitters. Bye.